Man, oh man, I love to be right. Before this format really started in the early testing phases, this is the deck I was gravitating towards, and I said, this deck is going to surprise people in my first tier list. I might have been wrong by that, because a lot more people played it than I expected. Anyway, Enchanted Rare giveaway, Kita, and Sad Beast giveaways. Other video, double giveaway is in the title. You'll see how to do them. The Kita Patreon link down below. That's your exclusive. Again, the Patreon is 100% going to come back into the channel and giveaways, and I am taking nothing from it. It is all for this. I just want to be able to do more giveaways for you guys, and at this rate, I'm going to run out if I just 100% do it on my own. Don't feel obligated. You do not have to. No one has to. But if you would like to, it will just contribute to the channel in ways like that. But the other giveaway, again, that video will tell you how to do it. 100% free, no strings attached. You just got to be subscribed. You just got to comment on that video, and that's it. Anyways, we're playing Amethyst Emerald Bounce, about a $200 deck, which isn't really too terrible. We are playing 9 1-drops, 14 2s, 22 3s, 11 4s, and 4 6s. 14 uninkable cards. We like to try to stay under that 25% mark. Our 1-drops. The strategy of this deck is early on you want to get aggressive and apply pressure and set the tempo to your opponent. In the mid game then, you start to just bounce their cards and keep that tempo, and you can potentially close this game out like an aggro deck. However, you do still have a late game push, and you just build so many resources that we'll talk about, and you can win in the long game as well. I feel like this deck is one of those decks that has an early, mid, and late game. You can grind, you can play with the control decks, and you can out aggro the aggro strategies. So that's reasons that I really, really like this deck. We're taking 2 Maleficent Biding Her Time and 4 Cursed Merfolk as our multi-questers on turn 1. They're all uninkable, so 6 of our uninkable cards come in the 1-drops. We're then playing 3 Rafiki Mystical Fighter because he's a challenger and can apply that pressure to your opponent or just also deal with their board. Some ways you can protect your Maleficent or your Merfolk are your Madam Mim Snake. We're playing 3 of her. So turn 1 you play your Merfolk or your Maleficent, turn 2 you quest with it, and then you play your Snake and bounce it back to your hand to play it on a later turn so your opponent cannot challenge it. In addition, our 2-drop spots, we are playing 2 Pua, who is just another multi-quester, and 4 Flynn Rider, who is just another multi-quester. Flynn, obviously like Merfolk, they must discard a card if they wish to challenge it. Unless they don't have any cards in their hand, then they can just challenge it. We are playing 3 Ursula Deceivers. I initially played 4. I think every top so far, at least every top 2 that we're tracking. I just realized I didn't show the spreadsheet on my last video that I said I would. I'm sorry, guys. Link was down below, and I did tell you about that. I will do it for sure this time. Replays coming after spreadsheet, by the way. So we played 3 Ursula Deceivers. I was on 4 for a really long time, and I realized I was inking it a lot. In a lot of matchups, I didn't necessarily need to play it. Getting that hand advantage from your opponent is very, very good. However, I felt like the song aspect of it didn't come up nearly as often, and I cut it to 3 and really had not looked back. For Madam Mim Fox, there's not a whole lot else to say about it. This card is just very, very broken. In our other 3-drop spots, we were playing 2 Crabs because that Challenger +3 allows you to deal with your opponent's locations or big problematic cards in a swift swing. Kit Cloud Kicker is one way to deal with Ursula Deceiver of all, and also to get rid of your opponent's cards to keep the tempo and to be able to get rid of a Sad Beast, or to get rid of, who was the other ones? Or a Sad Beast to 4/5 actually. Who was the Cloud Kicker? They had 3. I can't think. There's another really, really strong target for it. Man, I feel so not smart right now. Anyway, though, but you get your early questers on board. Your opponent tries to play a threat to be able to deal with them. You can kick Cloud Kicker and bounce it back to their hand to keep the tempo, force them to replay it, and then you're also free to quest for another turn. Your Ursula, Deceiver of All, like we said, Kit is a very good response to this card because having 2 strength, if your opponent plays this on their turn 3, you come back on turn 3, you play your Kit, you bounce it to your hand, they cannot double sing a song. Ursula double sing songs. That's pretty good because purple has a song that says draw 2 cards. So essentially Ursula says draw 4 cards. That's pretty good. We're playing 4 goats because, well, usually he ends up being ink, but sometimes late game you just need that 1 extra lore and the 4 strength comes up. Started at 3, went to 4. Tinkerbell, most helpful, is evasive and grants evasive for a turn when she is played. She quests for 2 and she applies pressure to your opponent. This card has been very, very strong for me and I cannot say enough about it. We are playing 2 Yzma and 2 Genies as our big late game threats. Yzma not only can shuffle your card to draw 2, you can shuffle your opponent's, force them to hopefully draw something good, otherwise you win the game in that scenario. Also, they both quest for 2. Instead of shuffling into their deck, Genie bounces it back to their hand so they can just replay it. However, it resets their tempo and slows them down, and Genie is evasive, so that works out nice. Unlike some others, I am still playing 2 Bounce. This card also can answer things like that Ursula before they can actually use her, along with Beast, or really anything that you want to get off board before they can take advantage of it on their turn. You can bounce something like your Merfolk and then replay it, and it's readied now to help protect it as well. Our songs, we're playing 4 Friends because through Ursula you draw 4 cards. And then 3 Mother Knows Best. I went down to 3 because I was seeing this card too much in scenarios that I really didn't want to see it, and you don't even necessarily have to sing it. Bouncing 2 cards is very powerful and it comes up. You'll see that in some of these replays. However, sometimes you don't necessarily need it for that and you can just bounce 1. We're playing 1 Spellbook because layers of lore gaining is always a good thing, and 3 Queen's Castle. Again, layers is a good thing, just like onions. Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. Our decks in Lorcana have layers. Our decks are like ogres. So that spreadsheet, where do we go from there? Again, link down below. This is kind of what it'll look like when you get to the spreadsheet. We have the decks, their top 16s, top 8s, top 4s, top 2s, first place, total tops, and their representation. Again, then our little what counts as a top sheet, just in case you're wondering what I count as a top. If you scroll over a little bit, we have our social links, then tournament links, inkdecks.com. Lots of great information. It is a link, you can click it, so it's there available. Then a little notice, check out tabs below. We'll do that in a second for finishes of top 2 or better. Yes, we have deck cores included. This list does include the major tournaments, which are tournaments of 100 players or more. I added a tab for that as well. A few editor notes, a little thing that tier 0, this is not a tier 0 format, and then a running tier list over on the side here. So first and foremost, the major tournaments tab. Major tournaments tab. We have the event and the cap, the player name, the deck played, their place, event date, where it was, and a whole bunch of deck lists. Any information available will be added to this chart. Not all information is always available, but we have quite a bit here. And again, you have their deck names, you have links to them. Yes, you could just go on Inkdex and click on the tournaments and do it that way. However, this is one precise location where you can see what deck it is, click the link, and do it all right from here. We have 103, I believe it was, if we come over here, 103. So if you look here, actually a lot of these numbers correlate to the total pretty well. I was curious on that. 37% was Ruby Amethyst. 37% is Ruby Amethyst. And then also how many wins they're having. Then if you keep going, we have a bunch of decks. Any deck that has a top 2 finish, you can click on it. I'm in the process of organizing it by cost, just to make them all a little more fluid. So Minnie Mouse, always classy. 3 people played it at 2, 12 played it at 3, 9 played it at 4, meaning 75 players that finished top 2 played this card. Most common ratio was at 3. You can go through this all the way down to things like Maleficent Monstrous Dragon and see what they play it at, total percent played, most common ratio, and then over here, cards in 100% of the list, meaning every person that finished first or second played these 6 cards to some degree, most of them at 4, but not all of them at 4. So that's a little bit on how to navigate the spreadsheet And I hope you guys enjoy these replays. Don't forget the giveaways. Thanks for watching.
Videos. Let's start it off against, well, I don't know what we're against. We're against Amber Steel. Probably Steel Song. Potentially Tiana aggro. It could also be a bodyguard type aggro. This color combination actually has quite a few ways they can play the deck now. We get to go first. So we have Deceiver of All, Maleficent, Merlin, Yzma, Fox, Genie, and Flynn. So we got our turn 1 and 2 plays. 3 to potentially swing it back in our favor. I want to get to Kit or to Bounce to deal with something like, or sorry, wrong color. Kit or Bounce, Kit or Bounce, Kit or, yeah, Kit or Bounce to deal with something like an Ariel if it is on song. We hit our castle. We have Fox now, Snake. We had the Fox before. We hit a Goat. So Pluto comes down. We get another Deceiver of All. Don't need two, especially with no songs. Pluto having 0 strength allows me to go definitely into the aggro route here. Not that I have other 2 options. So we can quest with the Maleficent though. And we see a bodyguard and a Lilo come down. So maybe it is an aggro list. I have seen and both enjoy aggro Amber Steel lists because of the plethora of bodyguards and just the nature of the 2 decks working so well together. So we're able to go ahead and put the Deceiver down. There's no point in coming down with a Kit because we get nothing out of it. He comes down with Piglet. He can go ahead and take out the Maleficent. No surprise there. Quest. We draw into our friends, which that's insane because that's a draw 4. Debating, like, do we just attack this turn? Do we quest? I don't know why I clicked on Flynn because that would never happen. And we're going to go ahead and draw 4. We hit Deceiver, Tinkerbell, and Mother Knows Best. So at least we hit another song. We don't need 3 Deceiver of Alls. We already inked 1, so we're going to ink a second one. Flynn, we can take out the Lilo with, because now if we come down with Kit, we can use Kit to bounce the Simba, attack the Lilo. Piglet's still going to quest for 3. Or do you go Fox, take out the Simba just to actually take it out? But I'm going to hold the Fox in my hand instead. He's going to go ahead. He's got 5 on board. I get it, but I'm not too worried about it because we got a potential double bounce. We have Evasive. We have Fox. We have Castle. So he comes down with double Simba, actually. So definitely confirming he's playing aggro. So quest. That Piglet going to hit for 3. And we draw a Cursed Merfolk. So again, I can go aggro too. Not too worried about it. So we go ahead and sing. And the fact that he has double Simba is just hilarious because guess what? We get to take them both out now. And then we can go ahead, take out the Piglet, quest for 2, bounce, take out, and debating on the Pluto or the Stitch. Knowing he has 2 Simbas in hand, if he has Rockstar in hand, I'm okay with that. So take out the Pluto and come back with our Flynn in a readied position. We're in a pretty good spot, I would say here. 8-8, but we have all the board control at the moment. We know he's got double Simba in hand. Smash actually is pretty good there. Take out that Fox. But again, he's got double Simba. Now he's got 1 Simba, 2 on board. Simba comes down, and then he attacks with the Stitch. Not quite sure why. Maybe to just try and get some damage on me. We can go ahead. I get rid of the castle here because I'm not too worried about it. We play our Tinkerbell and our double Merfolks. So essentially we're threatening game here now. We have 9 on board. He can take out our Ursula and survive, or he can take out the Flynn and discard a card. Either way, though, we're sitting in a very, very good spot. He comes down with a Prince. He did take out our Ursula, but again, we have enough for 8 on board. He can't take out everything, and we also have our Ursula, seeing his 99 puppies in hand. He's got 1 card to come down. Actually, grab your swords here. Grab your swords. Still wouldn't be enough because our Ursula is readied and the Tinkerbell has evasive. So he's going to go ahead and essentially admit defeat at this point. We draw into our castle, we quest, we win. We did have a rematch. We opted to go and play again. And this time we are going second. We have double bounce, Mother Knows Best, Ursula, Merlin, and Tinkerbell. Knowing he's on aggro now, I don't want the bounces. If he was on Steel Song, I would keep them again for that aerial, because you don't want him to start singing 5-cost songs on turn 3. We have our Ursulas. I'm going to keep the Mother Knows Best, keep the Tinkerbell. We do hit a turn 1 play. I wasn't too worried about that. I feel like this deck plays into aggro really, really well, so I didn't necessarily feel the need to have a turn 1 play to apply that pressure. We draw a goat. We do have our merfolk, though. We can ink the goat, which happens a lot early game. Play the merfolk. So he's going to have to discard to get rid of this card, which I'm okay with. He comes down with a queen and gets rid of a Tinkerbell. So potentially a shift queen coming next turn. We draw Yzma, don't need her, get rid of her. And we get to see his hand. So he does have aerial, actually, which is kind of funny. So he's playing like aggro song something. I'm not entirely sure. But we see a whole new world. Bare necessities. I have Mother Knows Best in hand. I have friends and friends. So I've got songs in hand. But he's also got the whole new world. So it's a strong debate here what to do. But by leaving the whole new world, it I don't know if it necessarily bluffs on what to do, but he can go ahead and sing the grab your swords for advantage that way. And then we draw into our castle. Knowing he has the whole new world, though, and the aerial kind of helps me in a way. We go ahead and we have our 3-cost Ursula then down. We can go ahead and quest for 1. He's going to quest, boost, and reduce, and then take out our Ursula. Strength of the Raging Fire goes away. Come down with the aerial, and now we know he has double a whole new world in his hand. He opts not to use it. Again, takes out our Ursula. So now here I am so happy because I know his hand is double whole new world. So if we go ahead and bounce those 2 cards, he cannot play a whole new world this turn. Not that he would necessarily want to. Anyway, we play our Tinkerbell, and now we're actually sitting in a pretty good spot. We know he's got queen, queen, aerial, whole new world, whole new world. So aerial comes down. He hits the Let the Storm Rage On, so he does get a card off of it. Inks the Tinkerbell. So again, we know his entire hand still. 3 uninkable cards. He's got the 2 queens and then the songs. We're going to go ahead, sing, draw 2. We hit Genie, draw 2 more. We have Merfolk and bounce. Kit can go ahead then and bounce the aerial. So again, keeping those 5 costs off the board. Come down, ink the Flynn, put the Merfolk on board. So if he hard casts the whole new world, we're sitting with too much advantage on board. We'd go to 11. He'd completely fall behind on tempo. So he can't hard cast it. He needs to put one of these cards on board and stick with it. Unfortunately for him, we do have the bounce still in hand, so we can quest, take out the Simba, bounce, take out the Ariel, then replay if we want. But we're going to go ahead and sing, see what we get, and we end up hitting double Kit. So he's not going to be able to stick anything on board. We have the castle then as well. I'm in a really good spot here. The queen goes away. He still has the little queen. I don't know why you don't get rid of the little queen first, unless I missed it, and he did. But he should have let the Storm Rage on, double, whole new world, and aerial in hand. We have the goat. We ink. We're at 15-6. We're sitting with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on board. He can go ahead do that to our Tinkerbell. If he did it to Kit, though, 1, we wouldn't get the extra draw, but we would still, I guess, have enough to win the game. So we draw 2, then we can go ahead and quest, and that's the game. So we are against Sapphire Emerald this time around. Going second. So is it like ramp song? Is it ramp? These decks can play aggro too. I don't know. They can, like I said, ramp and sing your songs, like your aerial being able to sing Let It Go. ramp into your Hades and take advantage of some of the blue cards that way. But going second, I like the Challenger and Rafiki. I like having Fox, and I like having Draw. We hit Ursula, another Rafiki, another Friends, Crab, or another Friends, or just the one friend? Just the one Friends, and one of each Ursula. We hit another Fox. I don't need all of these going second cards, so we get rid of one Rafiki to play the other. King Louis then goes away, and a Pluto, double Pluto, comes down. We hit Yzma. I don't need Yzma, so we're going to do this. See his hand. One jump ahead. Chernobog, one jump ahead, and Mickey Mouse are all uninkable cards. He's got 2 ink already, so I mean I could hit the 4 dozen eggs because it's inkable, or the one jump ahead to keep him from ramping. You hit the inkable card, but he's got the 2 Pluto, so he can still play the Mickey Mouse and ramp that way. Yeah, there's not a really great way. We hit the ramp card. I don't feel like 4 dozen eggs is going to do anything productive for him, and knowing he has the Chernobog just makes Chernobog not that good, especially when we have so many ways to deal with it through, like, you know, bounce, Yzma, Genie, things like that. So Grammatala comes down. I hate when you click it and they're in the middle of triggering the action. You have to wait for them to finish triggering the action to actually get off the card. Anyway, so Pluto exerted. We can go ahead and take that out. We ink our Crab, not going to need him. We play our Ursula, take out the Pluto, and then we can go ahead and quest. And we take a whopping 2-0 lead. His Chernobog and Mickey in hand. Mickey comes down. And we're going to start ramping. Yippee. How far I'll go. So we're going to get a card in our hand. By our, I mean his. And then once again ramp a little bit more. I'm okay with this though because we're hitting some good cards. We get to draw 4, hitting Ursula, Mother Knows Best, so we have our answer to Chernobog, and we're just going to spam out a lot of questing cards. The Challenger and Rafiki just putting in work, gaining that advantage. Ursula, once again questing to get us a little bit more. Wanted to just check and see where we're at as far as Chernobog goes, but again, we have Mother Knows Best in hand, so we're not worried about it whatsoever. Heart of Atlantis is going to make it even cheaper for him to play it, and then the one jump ahead comes down. So we know he has Chernobog in hand. I'm okay with that. We have Mother Knows Best. Essentially at this point, I don't see any way I lose the game. It's just more of a formality of finishing it out. We take out the Pluto, we quest, we quest, we quest. So we're up to 8. We play our Fox, we bounce our Merfolk, and we take out the Mickey. Now we can go ahead ink if we want or not. It's up to us. We do ink, and then we play our other Pua. So I'm expecting Chernobog to come down here. And realistically, it doesn't even matter. I could just leave the Chernobog, which I think is what I end up doing. Just so, like, to play the game a little more. I could have just, like, Mother Knows Best right away. And, I mean, obviously you use Mother Knows Best, and then Chernobog goes back to the hand, and he can't really do anything with it. Unless, I guess, if he hits an inkable card, he could Heart of Atlantis to reduce for 2. But then you have to pay. Yeah, there's really nothing too worried about. So we don't need to use either Mother's Knows Best, because we can go ahead and just go to 15. And we got 15 sitting ready, in addition to all of our exerted cards already. So now at this point, I'm just like, yep, I'm gonna do it. You didn't, can't even talk. This is my 4th video today doing, so I'm getting a little bit exhausted. So I apologize for that. But he didn't just scoop or anything, and so I was just like, you know what, I want to actually take out the Chernobog. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take out the Chernobog. Thanks for watching, guys. This deck has been so much fun to play locally. I'll have more stuff with that, possibly get some IRL footage for you guys. Again, spreadsheet, going to keep it going. Started up a Discord for our Patreon members. Patreon to help fund giveaways on the channel. So many big things planned, but let me know down below what you would like to see or what we could do better. Thanks for watching, guys.